Hello everyone and welcome to another Piston invention video, and today we feature the self-loading minecart track. So this minecart here is going to travel around 600 meters in this direction, then to the right, another turn and then back, and it will do this completely automatically, although the chunks are far away from the player and should normally not be loaded. And let me actually quickly demonstrate you how long this track is actually. So I'm running around across straight here, so you can see quite a long track. Then there is curve number 1 over here and back to the starting line, and over here there's the finish. So let's just quickly run back. Ooh. Wow, this is difficult to control with the speed effect here, and explain you how this is working. So first of all, I'm going to start the minecart and we'll see it's arriving in the finish line. I actually made few command blocks at the curves here to indicate that it already arrived over there. And we obviously may not follow it, otherwise it will travel out along anyway. So, the mechanics behind this. Panda recently explained this in his survival episode, and actually I just built this up already 2 months ago, but when he showed it to us, but he said, Panda said I wasn't allowed to publish this before he actually made his survival episodes, since he discovered the mechanics behind this, and so I can publish the video now for you. And let me just first drink a little bit of milk to get rid of the high FOV. In this case here I marked out chunks, so this is supposed to be chunks with black and red carpets. And the interesting thing Panda found out now is that entities are only getting processed if 5 by 5 chunks around a certain chunk are loaded. Then they are only getting processed in a chunk. So in this case, only the orange and the yellow chunk would actually process entities. And there we go, minecart hit curve number 1. Because they have 5 by 5 chunks loaded around themselves. And yeah, so goes for the other yellow and for the other orange and the yellow chunk. And what this means is that in the border chunks, entities are only loaded. So for example, mobs are loaded, but not actually processed, which means that mobs don't despawn when they're in those border chunks. Although they might be even way further away than 128 meters from a player. And that's how Panda's peaceful mob switch works. Also, items like lying on the ground items won't be flushed by redstone. They won't stack together. And they also won't despawn after 5 minutes. So this interesting fact about this is that, for example, the spawn chunks are actually 17 by 17 chunks, or something around that. And most people thought that there would be like 2 by 2 chunks in each direction smaller, because they just made the item despawn test. But that's why we actually had to increase our spawn perimeter as well, because simply those border chunks still, the items won't despawn there, but still mobs which are in there will be added to the mob cap. And an iron farm obviously only works in the center chunks where the iron golems can be processed, but you can also make an iron farm somewhere else. You don't need to build it in the spawn chunks. You just need to be loading enough chunks around it so that the mobs, in this case the iron golems, are being processed. And the minecart hit the goal. Okay, so we'll take a look at it in a second. I just wanna quickly explain you the mechanics for the minecart track. So the minecart starts along here and rides along this track here. So to be able to be moving, we need to have 5 by 5 chunks around it loaded. Obviously I'm close to here, so there's a huge area of chunks around it loaded anyway. But let's just assume that those 5 by 5 chunks would be exactly loaded. Then what would happen if we want to the minecart to be traveling to the next chunk here? Then when it's in this chunk here, to be able to travel further, we need to load the next set of 5 chunks here. Because the one over here are already loaded, but we need to load the next stripe here. So we need to have a redstone wire going on from the yellow chunk to load those 5 chunks here, so that the minecart can enter the next chunk and already pass through it. And so on, if it's in the yellow chunk, we need to load the chunks here, 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 and here. You know the deal? So that it can only always travel forward. So we pretty much need to load a 5 wide chunk stripe 3 chunks ahead of the minecart position. And well, I'm doing this with this redstone over here, so we can take a close look at it and see how it's working. So over here we got a detector rail, And if a minecart is on it, it simply loads this chain here, which yeah, you see the lights here as indicators. It loads this chunk, so a 5x chunk stripe over here. And I used redstone blocks and pistons instead of repeaters because, well, in the past repeaters wouldn't work reliably in those border chunks. In general, to load new chunks, they wouldn't work properly. And I actually didn't test it this time with repeaters, but I'm pretty sure that they still don't. So I just decided to use pistons because they absolutely work reliably. And so it just happens that in the middle of each chunk, the minecart is going to load the next 5 chunks ahead of it. And by the way, those chunks are actually never getting unloaded until a player moves along this minecart track as well and unloads the area, because there is currently no method implemented to unload just chunks which are randomly loaded by redstone. And so the way to unload those chunks is only go along themselves or go into the nether for more than a minute, because then all overworld chunks are getting unloaded. And the third method would be to restart your server or to restart your Minecraft world. But those chunks will only add a little bit to the memory usage, since nothing is getting processed there. And as long as you don't have any redstone clocks running there, they will just add up to a little bit to your memory usage, which doesn't cause any trouble if you have a little bit more RAM allocated anyway. And they won't use up much CPU power because nothing is happening in those chunks. So over here we got the finish line. The minecart is in here. And I missed the hole here. Actually, I had another minecart traveling before. So we have 2 in it. And, well, the purpose for this, you might ask, what could this be useful for? And the reason is simply you can send items automatically to your home base. One idea would be, for example, to build this up on top of the nether. That's probably where it would be easiest to build this up. And if you are far away from your home base, you can just put several storage minecarts and send them along, and just make some hover contraption at the end, which automatically sucks the stuff in and puts them into certain chests here. And you can also build this in the overworld, of course. You just need to figure out how to place all these pistons and wiring. And you will also be able to get a world download, so in case you want to build this up, I think it's pretty simple. It's just a diagonal connection to those chunk wires here. And it might be interesting how I set up the curves. So let's actually speed up to them and take a look. So over here there's the curve. And on the last detector rail, this one loaded those 5 chunks. And yeah, now the 5x5 chunk area around this chunk here is loaded. So after the curve, we need to load just the stripe of chunks over here. And I just connected the redstone wire so that it would do this. It's actually super simple. You just had to avoid some cross connections here by going into the 3rd dimension, but it's actually pretty simple. And just take a look at the world download if you don't know exactly how I connected these. And same goes for the other curve, obviously. And yeah, so this works very, very well, and yeah, I hope you find use for it. And we will see if we build this up on our server, maybe to be able to yeah, just move huge loads of sand from our desert to our main base without having to move and travel with it ourselves. And other than that, I hope you liked this video. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.